Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus with a review that walks the path of heaven of Kamen Rider Kabuto from the SHFiguarts line to kick off another day of Rider Figuarts week. Kabuto was the first time in the SHFiguarts line where I thought to myself that it might actually continue. It had just delivered designs of the first and the next, and it had just delivered the Hopper Hell brothers, and I thought that maybe that's all that the line has in it. Maybe that's the extent of Figuarts' lifespan. But no, it decided to push on forward, and I'm quite glad it did. Kabuto is, like many Figuarts, he looks very much like Kabuto, although the Kabuto body does come under some criticism for how lithe and thin it is, although some would actually say anorexic. Personally, I think that the thinness works for it, but if it doesn't work for you, it's a very valid criticism to make. There is also a problem with a lot of the early Kabuto body Figuart releases, which I'll get to in a bit, and I've been told that it's fixed on later editions. This guy, between the segmented eyes, between the beautiful shiny red paint, if you're a fan of Kabuto, I really gotta say, there's very few things to fault this for. Again, just the proportions, maybe. And I really do say that as a maybe. The biggest thing I've seen highlighted would actually be the neck. You can see the neck is quite thin. So, perhaps this is not an accurate representation of a dude wearing a suit, but I still think it works. Unfortunately, the front horn doesn't fold down, but there's no mask form anyway, so not really a big loss in my opinion. Now, posability-wise, this is the Kabuto body, and it's different than the Agito body. This one has more of the classic, what I call the Type 1 Figuarts hip, with the swivel joint on the ball itself to allow for straight-up, kick-you-in-the-face type posing. It also allows for wide-legged stances while maintaining the look of the Kabuto bodysuit. And the posability is everything you would expect from a Figuart. I really gotta say, if you're not sure what you are to expect, check out any of the videos up this week. I'm not going to go out of my way to point out all the joints. There are so many. But they are very solid and work out quite well. Now, the shoulder armor here is on a hinge, so it can move up with the arm. My one problem with this is that it doesn't go down far enough for my taste. I wish it would hug the side of the bicep a little bit more, but that aside, it looks pretty good. Now, here's the big problem with a lot of the early Kabuto body Figuarts, is something a lot of people can confirm: the bow-leggedness. Now, on this Kabuto, it's not too apparent that there's a bit of a bow-legged thing going on here. And a way to fix this, I've been told, would be to take a hairdryer on the lowest setting to the back of the knee joint and just bend it back into place, and then maybe put it in some cold water. I haven't gotten around to doing that because I'm a chicken, and I wanted to show you that before I fixed it, so that I could have some video evidence of the bow-leggedness. You'll see it, though, on some of the other ones to a bit of a crazier degree, especially on Ketaros. Now, his accessory count is quite nice. It's a couple of sets of hands. You've got your splayed-open hands, your holding stuff hands, the fists on his arms right now. But most importantly is the hand that makes Kabuto, the hand that really defines Kabuto's image, and that is the hand that points to the path that Tendou Souji walks. It's the path that points to heaven, and by path I mean hand. And let me tell you, this was something that was missing from the Sochok Henshin Kabuto toy line up until Hyper Kabuto. And to finally be able to execute this pose with a really nicely done action figure, that was something that a lot of us were very pleased to see come to fruition. However, he also has holding stuff hands, and what could he possibly want to hold? He's Kamen Rider Kabuto. Well, he has a weapon, although personally, I always felt that the weapon was almost a little bit too much. The guy already practically can god mode most enemies via the power of clocking up. And through the weaponry, I think that it just kind of gave him an unfair advantage. But that goes into, stuff that doesn't relate to the toy. And what you get with the toy is the kunai gun, which quite easily fits into his hand as either a gun, and a really nice little touch here is that his trigger finger is actually separate enough to go into the trigger chasm. And then if you want, you can have him toss it up casually in that Tendou Souji style, and wield it as an axe, And then, unfortunately, you can't just pull the kunai out of there, but in making the kunai a separate accessory, they allowed for it to be just a little bit pointier, I think, than how it would have turned out if it just slid inside. And, yeah, you get the weaponry. Now, I'm not really sure how best to explain this before I get to those other reviews, but the Kabuto body and the Kabuto weaponry, let me tell you, they got their money's worth. That stuff appears in more than a couple of SHFiguarts releases. I gotta hand it to them, though. I mean, it's a great way to maintain your budget to get your money back on a mold, and I think that really it plays on what the Kabuto suit designs set up themselves in being slight, quote-unquote, remolds of each other. And SHFiguarts picking up on that made it easier, I think, for them to fill out the Kabuto lineup over the last almost 2 years. But as I said, the weapons to me were just a nice bonus. I'd have been happy with Kabuto just on his own with maybe a couple of extra pairs of hands, and the will of the man who walks the path of heaven. Because as we all know, there's only one fate that awaits those who stand in the way of Tendou Souji. And it really speaks for itself.
1, 2, 3. Rider kick.
Without a doubt, Kabuto is an effective figuart. Really, the only knock against him that I can say is palpable in almost every case will be the bow-leggedness, and it's fixable, and perhaps even in some cases not even an issue if you get a newer edition of him. So overall, I'd say he's highly recommended, as most figuarts are, but really just take a look at him and you can see why. If you like Kabuto, you will love this figuart. Unless, of course, you just really have it out for thin people. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and I hope that review took you on a walk through the path of heaven. So stay tuned, because before we see the other half of the Red Shoes system, we're going to see that everything good has a dark side.